Right, we got straight up
Okay,
10.
I call the September 26th meeting of the Barker Civic Center Commission. It's like 10:03. We all have copies of the minutes of the last meeting of August 15th. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Agenda for today.
Yes, right.
Yeah, here's the agenda. We can start with the executive director's report. If there's things that you think Tom should be involved with, we could adjust it, however you want to do it.
Sure. In terms of old business, we have been working on the rug rack. We've paid that bill through the city. They okayed it to come out of our capital improvements account. It is still not usable. So what we're looking at doing is modifying it to become usable. So we've been working with a fellow named Jim from J&J Rug Solutions, and he thinks he can cut it and extend it, add new bars, things like that, and we're hoping to do that so at least it doesn't go to waste. So TJ and I have been meeting with him, and we're looking at a storage room on the second floor that used to be known as the Christmas room, which Emily had cleared out for some sort of preservation work, which really isn't necessary. So we're looking at using that space. Exhibit creation is in progress in the ballroom. Both Mitchell and Anthony have completed cases up there. There are a couple cases still empty that TJ has earmarked for certain things. So he just left on vacation, so they are still empty. He was going to see if Carolyn Paz could help him on those while he was gone, because she knows what to do. Sherry's been working on the garden, and it's looking great. So maybe you actually want to give an update on that?
I do. I have a little update, and I have some questions.
Okay.
So I just made a few notes. So there's some things I need help with the direction. The statuary out in the garden, I've noticed, is dirty. And I'm not sure how we're supposed to clean that statuary, and I'm not sure what happens to it in the winter. Does anybody know?
Yeah.
It's out there, doesn't it?
It stays. It stays.
You
Okay.
cover it?
So, yes. So in terms of cleaning, the Barker Welfare Foundation had paid for cleaning on the bench.
Okay.
A few years ago, they had someone come in from Chicago and do that. So if we want to have any of the statues cleaned, we would want to ask them if they'll pay for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, when Tom gets here, why don't we circle back to that then?
Good idea. Yeah.
Because we knew enough to not try to clean them ourselves, but
Yeah.
we just didn't know who does that. So that's good to know.
You just
Okay.
don't power wash that.
No, you don't take. So I just yeah.
SOS.
But I think that they're due for cleaning, and I thought, okay, we'll check back on that. All right, so that's that. The fountain sounded like such an easy project, you know, the little pool with the fountain pump, and the pump was broken. So it just seemed easy. We just get another pump and we put it in, and we've got a fountain going. No, it wasn't that easy because the pump is hardwired into the side of the pool. Obviously, this was done a long time ago. So then we talked to some electricians, professional electricians. Then they started to give me some guidance about what kind of pump we need. Then I personally felt like I was out of my league. So then I called Beachside Garden Center and asked if they specialize in fountains. You know, there's got to be a science to, there's this many cubic feet of water in this pool, so you need this kind of a pump, none of which I know. Did somebody come from Beachside Garden Center to look at it?
Not of which I know.
Okay. I think his name was Matt.
Okay.
But he asked me, could I, or his executive assistant said, could he just stop by and look at it? I said, that's a great idea. Nobody really needs to be here when it's there. So it's kind of a big project, like I said. And so I'm kind of going down little steps like that and counting on some of these professionals, okay?
Yes.
Is that also Barker Welfare something they're paid for?
I would imagine.
So we don't have to have 3 bids, in other words.
No, because that's something Tom gave Sherry kind of just to go ahead.
He
do
did.
what you need to do.
Yeah, he said, let's make this happen. And I did. So you've received some bills.
The plant you have out there now is very,
It looks very nice.
beautiful. Yeah.
And you put water in, obviously,
Yeah,
right?
just with no chlorine or any chemicals in the water.
Have we collected any pennies in there?
No, to pay for our fountain.
Yeah.
Sure.
But the urgency was the weddings.
Yeah.
And at first we didn't know for sure what the dates of the weddings were, and now we've had 2 weddings. And I think things went well, according
Yes,
to TJ,
very
good
well.
in the garden. So, yeah, that seemed like a really good solution. And I got that from Civic's Garden Center here,
Oh,
a
perfect.
block
down the
away.
street.
Yeah.
On a personal note, if you need any mums, oh my gosh, they were just beautiful there. And so that seemed like a good fountain
Yeah.
solution.
Would it have to be winterized anyway, the
Yes.
pump
Oh, yeah.
system? So is this something we could delay till next year, or?
I'm kind of thinking that's a good idea.
Uh-huh.
And while it's still open, if Beachside can come, take a look, and see what needs to happen, then we could be ready for the spring, doing it the right way. You know?
They may need to order a pump, but
Yes.
specialized in.
But since it's, I'm sorry, Fred. Since it's not working, then winterization wouldn't be needed, I guess. Right. It's
Right.
just- yeah.
Yeah. I think it actually wasn't winterized last winter, which started,
Maybe that.
but
contributed.
whatever. We're going to start over. And
Yeah.
I also talked to the park department because I thought, they have that huge Millennium
Yeah.
Fountain there,
Plaza fountain. And they said
At
their
8 feet.
maintenance people do the maintenance on it.
yeah. Oh,
But they do hire some professionals like when it needs to be constructed or working. So
so they have a list of potential.
I didn't get that.
Uh-huh.
I just kind of reached out on my own.
We just, maybe they have a spare pump for the Millennial fountain. That would shoot a hole in the sky if we
That's
got
That's why I was like,
Water the whole garden with it.
we need somebody who knows.
We've got a north wind, we can water that side of the,
Clean the statues at the same time.
The world, we could, yeah.
because
Oh
when
my
the,
gosh.
sitting in the old Lighthouse Museum, when that wind's blowing in that fountain,
Oh.
it goes for yards and
Long,
yards.
yeah.
I mean, I've seen people underneath it with the bathing suits like
Oh
a
my
shower.
Right, and
You know.
the
That was
brides,
splash pad.
Yeah.
if our pump is excessive, the brides could get, and guests could be way,
Yeah, that would not be
it
good.
could be a trouble. Let's see if I had one more thing. James has been doing a great job,
Good.
a great job.
I'm really glad.
And let's see, there's some more help. The rent-a-man, and I needed advice about that. I need to get together with him to talk about his schedule and what I want him to do. What has been the precedent for them?
Schedule-wise?
Yeah.
When I was here, they came every other Monday, and they spent probably 6 hours. And they,
Each time.
yeah, and they usually 2 men, and they would do the big things we couldn't do, like using the electrical trimmers on the trees and the big pruning up high and things like that.
Yeah.
on that note, I did notice the dead tree out front.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk to him about that?
Well, and that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about, because when I spoke with Mr. Healy, who owns the Healy Landscaping Company, who did all the mulching and edging for the gardens, he suggested that we get an arborist out here to look at some of the trees.
And the Michigan City of Michigan City has a
A
forester.
tree man.
A forester.
Yes.
It may be
She
a
just
woman.
Started, Jessica. So do you want me to connect
Would
with
you?
Jessica?
Because he took note of that dead tree. He took note of some of our trees that probably need to be pruned. There's a tree in the garden, in within the wall, that's on the south side, and there's a little bench under it, and it's like hanging way into the garden, and there's some dead wood in there. So
Okay.
it
Is that
probably
lilac bush?
Yeah,
is it
Yeah.
that's a lilac bush?
Yeah.
it's like 100+ years old. Yeah.
Fully mature.
Yeah.
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's a
gosh!
centennial lilac.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those branches are,
Yeah.
I can understand why you mistook it for a tree.
Yeah. Right. There have been a lot of recommendations that I've received, and one of which is to trim some of these hedges way down so they're just level with the windows. Like inside the garden on the
Right here.
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here. They're maybe twice as high as the windows.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to start anybody trimming or massively pruning until we talked about it.
I think they recommended that they recommend no more than a third of the height at any one pruning.
So
it does come back, and you can take a third off this year and then a third off next year, but don't take them down to the stubble. Too drastic a cut.
Okay.
The idea being showcasing the windows so that it's not
Exactly.
blocking. Yeah.
So perhaps that would be a great project for the Rent-A-Man.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll just send Jessica an email to start with, and
Thank you.
I'll CC you, and
Great.
I'll let her know you've been in charge of the garden,
Sure.
and if I'm here, fine, but she can meet with you too.
Great.
Yeah.
That'd be great because I thought that was
Excuse me, she's the tree
Yeah.
the city.
she's-
Forester.
forester for
I
the
think
city.
she just started, weeks ago, so I don't know
Yeah.
what she's got on
Awesome.
her plate.
she'd
but-
love to see the gardens anyway, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And this is city property,
Yes.
so it should,
Yeah.
they should take
Yeah,
that.
she should acquaint herself with our
Yes.
premises.
Yes.
Yeah.
Winterizing the garden. So TJ said to me, "Oh, Sherry, would you pick a date in October? And I'll advertise for some volunteers to come and we'll winterize the garden." And I said, "Okay, I'll help pick a date, but I'm going to meet for lunch after this with the master gardeners because I don't know what needs to happen.
Mhm.
You know, I
To
don't
winterize?
to winterize it. Right now, we're talking about the
Can't use
statues.
antifreeze, I know that.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to meet with them and we're going to compile a list of things
Sure.
that we know of. Do any of you know anything? Jessica especially?
Yeah, I had a list every year, so I'll look through my files,
Okay.
see if I can find that.
Yeah, are you meeting with them right after this?
Yes, I'm going to
Okay.
treat them for lunch because they've
That's
been
nice, yeah.
so helpful.
Sure.
It'd be great if you could take that list with you.
Yes, that'd be great if
Yeah,
we
I'll
have
see
time
if I
to
can
find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know, I think that completes the list. The
Again,
project.
thank you for all the work.
Yeah.
you've
You're
done.
welcome.
Yeah.
It has been a joy. It
Thank
has been a
I'm
lot
so
of fun.
glad.
Yeah,
Very rewarding to see the transformation.
Oh, yeah.
really, really. And I had no idea that it, needed that much work and that we
I
could
love the
pull it
hanging
back to
baskets on that portico section.
the ferns.
Ferns. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Don't
and even
you
the
think
other
that-
ones, too.
Yeah.
You've got new flowers out there.
There, that was the end of the season. It was really hard to pull things together. And end of
Yeah.
August.
Yeah.
slim
But the
pickings.
ferns, I think, really look great out
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think they like it there.
It's just the right shade, and they're happy. So that's it.
Now, do they have to be taken in, or will they last through the winter? Or do
No, they
No.
have to be taken in,
Okay.
and
Maybe the basement. Would
Yeah.
the basement be okay?
Ask your master gardeners if we can do that.
I don't think you can keep them over to the next year.
Oh, okay.
At least not in my ferns.
Oh.
I let them go dormant outdoors and then junk them.
Okay.
They're they're
Don't
not
they
that
come out?
expensive.
Don't they come out again? Our ferns in our
Mine-
backyard come back every year.
Oh, do they?
well, the ones
In-
that are in
in-ground
the
ferns?
ground, these are different types, and it's been my experience because we used to, on my office porch, same thing. We'd hang these ferns. They got absolutely beautiful and giant, and they're so pretty in the breeze.
Yeah.
But in the winter, you have to bring them in. Like, there's a fern stand right there. However, they're a mess.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They're such a
They
mess.
drop
Yeah.
leaves.
They drop leaves. They like humidity. So
Oh,
I would keep a couple inside for the winter, and it was always a big project.
Mm.
So,
There's Tom.
Yep.
Hello.
But,
you want to scooch?
You want to scoot
He's
closer
got
to
his
this?
back to
Good morning.
good morning.
come on over to
Sherry was just giving us the garden update and all of her hard work she's put in.
And we really have a question for you. The statuary outside in the garden, I hadn't really noticed this before, but it's dirty and it needs to be cleaned. And then we didn't know before this meeting how it's stored for the winter. And we know it's, it needs special care. Do you have insight who does that, who cleans them? And good. We could talk about that later if you want to. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Barker Welfare will cover the
The cleaning.
cost of the cleaning.
Should they be covered in the winter?
So, I can give history on that.
Okay.
So, when I had gotten here, they were covered with plywood boxes every winter. And then Serene and Susan came for a visit, and they said they wanted these garden bags, which I have the contact information for those people. So they wanted these garden statuary bags that you would put over.
Mm-hmm.
So we ordered a special one for the bench, and it was like custom dimensions and all this. It was very expensive. And we put it on, and then it was really windy like the next day, and it ripped.
Oh.
Yeah, it ripped right away.
Oh.
So we duct taped it together and stuff, but I was not at all impressed with the quality of it. So if we're gonna order bags or whatever, I don't think it should be from that place.
Okay. And I had no idea.
I wonder what the Barkers would have done.
Right.
I mean, they're not intended to overwinter. The material isn't durable enough.
I mean,
It's
they
a
have
marble.
been.
It's a marble,
Which
but
is pretty durable, isn't it?
but that's porous.
But maybe the people who clean it would have a recommendation.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because they would know
Yes.
best. Yeah.
So we'll continue to research.
Put a baggie over it.
We also had the question for Tom of funding the repair of the fountains outside.
What?
Well, Sherry's been investigating getting the pump system working again in the fountain, and evidently it's not as easy. There's wiring issues. It's an old wiring system. So she's trying to get somebody out here who knows about pumps, but is that something that Barker Welfare would fund the cost of? We don't know what costs they are at this time, Tom.
Well, I don't know much. there a list for the cost,
Yes.
and then also,
And let me fill you in. Beachside Garden Center. They do specialize in fountains. I found out. I did a little research. And so I've asked someone to come out and take a look at it and give us some advice. And then as we all talked about it, we're close to winter, we're close to winterizing the garden. We were thinking, once we get that advice from him, the size of the pump and just other suggestions generally, we maybe do that in the spring after we get an itemized list of what's involved. Do you think that's a good idea? Okay. So that's what we're working on. Good.
Okay.
And that fountain repair could probably come out of the capital improvements money from the city too.
I would think that the city.
Or we've done things like where we've split the cost on things, so we could talk about that when the time comes.
And who knows? It might not be a big project, but it might. It also might be with wiring.
Mainly by the wiring and things like that, because it's in the side, right?
Yeah.
It's in the cement. Okay. Any other old business repairs funded by the Friends?
Repairs funded by the Friends. So after the last meeting, Tom had said, put together a list of what you want to have done, which I did, and we've been communicating with a little bit. So I've started to call some of the contractors, and we've had people in to get estimates that I'm going to be sending your way first. But the things we're working on getting estimates for are installing a doorway in this hall so that the public can easily access the new bathroom, so it can be a feasible option to just have open all the time. We have Harbor Electric coming shortly to look at a bunch of lighting issues, some outlets in the garden. We have a painter, Jeff Roberts, coming tomorrow to look at the bride's room bathroom. That's a project the staff had kind of started themselves, and it had not gone well. So he's going to come in and look at kind of smoothing things out and then painting. We've got Dan from DNS Plumbing coming by the end of this week to look at the bride's room toilet. We've got, say this right, Zilkowski out of South Bend coming to look at the stairs in the alley. They've done that cement work out there in the past. Can you hang on just a second?
Sorry. Those stairs in the alley,
there's a crack.
Not sure what's
on the outside.
Is that by the gate?
Yeah, that little gate there has stairs
up to the gate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In the alley, actually. And we do use that quite a bit for weddings, for bringing things in and out. You can go off my cheat sheet if you want.
Okay, good.
And then tomorrow I've got Zach from Americo coming to look at some mold in the basement. The one spot that I can visually see is an issue, but then he's going to look overall and just do a general assessment and try and figure out what might be a problem in the future. And then we've got ServPro coming still this week yet to look at the rugs and how they might be cleaned in the most appropriate way before they're stored on this rug rack. And that's something we'll have to run by the family, obviously, because they own those rugs. So yeah, we've been really, really busy with all that coordination lately.
That's encouraging to have somebody think that they can repair or extend the rug rack and use what we have.
Yeah.
Jessica, can you give an update on the tapestries? I know they've been removed to rest.
Yeah.
But
so we're going to be putting those back out hopefully in the next month. And the curtains too. You'll notice all the curtains are gone from pretty much everywhere in the house. So right now they're all rolled up and they're in that room. So. going to put those back.
Yeah, we
Will we get the tapestries on
Mhm.
the doorways?
Yeah, although I heard that, they had those
Plastic enclosures.
Yeah, I guess one of those cracked when they were taking them off, so we need to look at making one of those again. So we'll see.
This may be too far in the future, but I think it was our last meeting, we had discussion about how we might display some of those beautiful rugs.
Yeah, about rolling them out. Yeah, I need to look at that still and figure out which ones historically go in what rooms. And that's a TJ thing that he can help with.
Would we use that Christmas room to do the displaying and use that as part of the tour?
Yeah, we were thinking actually, so Tom, just to bring you up to speed, when we met with Jim about the rug rack, we were talking about basically dissecting that one that Emily had bought, and then he was going to extend it, kind of divide it so the weight wouldn't all be in one place. So basically repurpose it so we can use it. And he is thinking the best space is the old Christmas room upstairs, which that's like drywalled off, that had been open during the Barkers' time. It was a sitting room. So Purdue walled it in. So what we're thinking is, wouldn't it be neat if we could take down those walls and essentially it would store the rugs in there, but we would store them in a way so that it looks presentable enough that then the public could kind of see it like as an exhibit area too. And we'd have it like roped off so people couldn't get in there and be touching them, but still they could see it. So that's kind of what we're thinking at the moment.
Sounds like a good idea.
It does.
Yeah.
I think it does.
And what would be good about if we could take down those walls they added is that room doesn't have heating or cooling right now. So then, the elements from the rest of the house would just, take care of that. Because if we leave it walled off, then we need to figure out what we're going to do to control the temperature in there. So.
Is there a shower head for the third floor bathroom that needs to be reattached?
Yeah.
It looks to me like it's maybe more than just a plumber's job. That has to be welded or.
I don't know what needs to be done. It's on that bookshelf in my office. So I haven't looked at it. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's
to
not something
attach
you
it.
could just screw on with a coupling or something. It's that old kind of funny metal. I mean, it looks like tin, but it's some of the plumbing has that kind of piping, and I don't think that they're today's fittings, will
Sure.
that we can adapt those end pieces with some kind of modern. But a plumber would know more than I.
Well, we can ask Dan when he comes.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
That's the list, right?
Yeah.
Worst he'll say is, I don't know. So,
Right.
we'll ask him.
Well, should we move on to new business?
Yeah, unless anyone has questions. Okay, so TJ and I sent out the August monthly report last week. Did anyone have questions?
No.
Okay. Earlier this week, we had our city budget hearing for 2020, and it went very well. They approved everything. Minimal questions asked, all of which we could answer, so that's great. They did approve some capital improvements projects, one of which was $20,000 to replace the heating and cooling unit in the archives room, which has continual issues. So we can completely replace that next year. And then the other thing they approved is redoing this hallway right here, which is really, really rough. It's got that linoleum on there, and there's dings and scratches, and it needs to be painted. So we'll take care of all of that.
The city will pay for it.
Yep, yeah,
Okay.
and that'll include painting and removing of any lead-based paint, which I'm sure is back there.
Is the door project also part of that?
No, that's something that'll happen now.
Okay.
Those last two things won't happen probably till spring when the money comes in. Thanks to Lori, we've identified a new housekeeping service. Do you want to fill us in on how it went collecting the bids and all that?
We had pretty good response from the services. I think I contacted 4 that were interested. One woman had been injured. I forget which body part that she was still rehabbing, and she has familiarity with Cecilia Zubler. She does her house. Evidently, she cleans the house in Long Beach. But she was really not forthcoming with a bid. I think she was just overwhelmed right now. But the service that came in, the one that you're
Cleaning Solutions.
Cleaning Solutions, Lisa, she was just very good about asking questions, very thorough. We followed the map of the mansion that TJ had handed out, and she asked, okay, well, what about this bathroom in the, I guess it's the Monuments Room, or the Master Marie Antoinette, which I'd never seen before. So, I'm glad that Jessica took her bid, because she just seems very professional, and she's been in the business for.
She was out again Tuesday when Linda and I were working here.
Great.
Wanting to check a few things, and also the basement, because you said there are certain rooms in the basement that needed to be cleaned.
Yeah, we hadn't gone down there even.
And she hadn't seen it, so we
we
took
didn't
her
go
up,
down there.
and she was very thorough. I was very impressed with if she cleans the way she did that kind of thing, it's in good shape.
So thank you for all of your communication with all those different companies. So I'm working with Cleaning Solutions to fill out all the paperwork that the city needs first. And hopefully they'll be able to have their first cleaning within the next week or so.
How often will they come?
Just once a month when we're slower like this, and then twice a month when we're busy. So December will definitely be a twice a month.
Okay. In the summer?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, so the next item is involving our relationship with Purdue. The archivist there, Joe, met with TJ and I recently about just our continued partnership. We've gotten some great interns from them and worked together on a lot of projects. And the latest thing and what he wanted to meet about is this history book that they've put together. It's history of the local area and Purdue's part in that history. And of course, we have ties with them since we were Purdue for how many years. So the book, by some rules, needs to benefit the community, and they want to give the proceeds to us, which is really great. And they're going to be very minimal proceeds, but because they're selling this book only on Kindle, I guess.
Oh. It's not a printed hardcover.
No, not yet anyway. Maybe it'll get to that, but right now it's just on Kindle. So, and I don't even know how much it costs. It's very early, but they want to give us any proceeds, and then they want that money to be used to fund future interns from Purdue. Pretty cool, in my opinion.
Yes.
So I just wanted to run that by all of you. What they would need if we're going to do this is they need our bank account information. So the Kindle proceeds can just be directly deposited into that.
Who will control that at P&W? Is that under the chancellor's direction or
The Department of
professor?
the Archives Department who wrote the book and
Oh, so
handles
there must
it
be
being-
a person, not professor. That's
yeah, Joe Coates, he's the main archivist there,
Uh-huh.
so he's the one that we have the partnership with.
so we hand out account information. It would be under his supervision.
It's actually just something he gave me the login, so when we're ready, we would actually just go in and fill it in through Kindle.
Into what account would it go?
Just the Friends Bank account.
Frank's bank account. Okay.
Yeah,
And would we be promoting that on our website?
we could. Yeah, definitely. That's a good idea.
Sure.
So I don't know if this is something you need to vote on, or if you need to think about it. I have more questions.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I move we accept the money from P&W
Okay.
Or they're
to benefit the Friends.
Okay.
it's
So
been moved. Okay.
And
It's
second.
Tom
yeah,
second.
not only
Tom
just
second.
money,
Yeah.
the whole idea that they want to fund an intern with that money. too.
Yeah,
We
and
wanna
it
include
might
that
take
also.
5 years to get
Oh, yeah.
I'll need to buy the Kindle first.
Yeah.
Haven't we gotten their interns at no cost? Because
We wrote a grant with them.
Okay.
Ah,
We
okay.
wrote it together, and that funded 2 interns who did the digitization. And then the Friends actually gave those interns. I think you gave them money beyond that too. Yeah, yeah.
we're having that discussion.
Okay, there's been a motion made to accept the PNW proposal. Do I have a second? Got a second? Okay, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's been moved and passed.
Thank you. Moving on, we hired Anthony Holt as the rental liaison. Emily had offered Anthony a job as a heritage interpreter before she left. But we really had the greater need for a rental liaison, and Anthony came with so much customer service experience that I offered him that job instead, and he took it. So he's been here about a month officially. He had been volunteering with us for probably 3 years prior. So he already knows how things work, but he's settled in really well to this position. I've been really impressed with everything he's doing. He's taking initiative in working on a new brochure with Lori for the rentals. He's reaching out to groups that kind of dropped by the wayside over the past 15 months, groups that had been meeting here every month and then just stopped. He's trying to get them back, and actually he did get one back already. They had a vegan potluck here a couple nights ago.
Great.
So that they used to be a monthly group, so it was nice to have them back. So he's
Are they
been
going to be monthly
really
again?
good. It looks maybe by month, every 2 months.
Okay.
But yeah, it looks like
Good.
they're wanting to be back. So,
That's a paid staff position.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, paid by the
Yeah.
city.
Part-time.
Part He works at Al's in the bakery. If you like their cookies and cakes,
Oh.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where he works.
And he plays piano beautifully, so he brings that skill too.
Yeah. And he's going to be coordinating all of our Christmas decorating too,
Oh,
which
wow.
is something Amanda had done just because she wanted more hours. And he's reaching out to community groups and trying to get them back. For the next
And I heard there are
years.
quite a few weddings booked for next year already.
Yeah, we're already, yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So he's been doing well. Mitchell is going through some training on giving tours, customer service kind of training, and he's having a series of evaluations done by TJ and myself. And we're just working with him right now. In terms of a timeline for the director job, at the last meeting I had told you it would be posted August 19th, but that didn't happen. And part of that was that Andrea at the city and I talked, and we just felt like there was so much here that needed to be done before we could say we're ready for someone else to walk into this and feel like it's calm and orderly. Part of that is that she wanted the dust to settle with Emily leaving and the staff to be calmed down, us to be a cohesive team before someone else came in either. So she just said to me, let me know when you think it's ready. So what I'm thinking is we advertise it mid-October. We can use the month of November to interview and maybe do a couple rounds this time to be sure, not just one. And then if that new person could start December 1st or so, I could keep working through the whole month of December, and TJ and I could just keep running things how we have been, because that's working really well, I think. And that new person could experience Christmas, meet people in the community, kind of slowly get trained in by me and TJ, and then come January, I would come back to the board if you want me, and then
Yes.
and that person would be able to be on their own when it's really slow, because that would be a good
Yes,
good time,
not midsummer.
But I think it would be really good if they did see Christmas here.
How are you handling the double duty, Jessica? Are you stressed?
I'm not. No, it's much more stressful over there than here. Because TJ's doing a really good job on the day-to-day, and he's a really good communicator. So I'm handling the big stuff, and there's a lot of mystery still behind the scenes on record keeping and financial things. But I enjoy being here. I like it here. It just makes for some long days sometimes.
Yeah.
TJ planning next spring probably to move away. I mean, that's his plans now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, he's saying by next March he hopes to be in Singapore, because that's where his fiance lives.
Oh.
That's where he is now, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really? So who knows? Who knows what'll happen with his timeline and all that.
Well, thank goodness we have him till March to
Yeah.
provide continuity
Yes.
for
Yeah.
whoever comes in. And
Yeah,
Oh.
he's been so great about
Yeah.
everything.
Better transition with him
Yes.
Yeah.
helping out.
So how do you all feel about that timeline?
Sounds good.
That's good.
I think it sounds good. It makes a lot of sense.
Hopefully we can keep it that way,
Yeah.
that we get a good
Obviously,
response so
yeah.
we have some people to pick from.
And I'm not leaving until the right person is here. You know, I don't.
Yay.
If
Yeah.
TJ and I have to keep doing this till March or whatever, I'm not leaving.
Well, we had wanted to have Andrea, and I think she's probably going to do this, expand the search to metro areas, Chicago, Indy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's on board with that.
I think it'll cost extra money, obviously, to have those ads placed in the bigger cities. So we'll see what they
Could the
say
Friends-
about that.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they
You know,
don't.
I feel like even if we all just committed to that, we were gonna identify 5 museums that we wanted to reach out to, and say, if you have staff that's looking for more experience or to make a change or whatever, we have this open. And if we could make those personal contacts even, I think that would go a long way.
Sure.
And we might get more qualified candidates than just the random
You have to find
forklift
people.
driver like we got before.
You're still going to get that. They give you all the applicants
Yeah.
that come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they don't divide them up.
Looking at local museums mean that the help might be living locally and would be
Yeah.
an easier transition for them, more attractive to them because they wouldn't have to move.
I have one person that was given to me. Do we
Oh,
funnel
that's
that to Andrea, or I think I already mentioned it to
I
you?
would think when the job opens, I would just contact that person directly and
So I
say,
don't really know, but I can find out how to contact.
yeah, let her.
Do you
know
have
to
an
apply.
idea of what museums specifically you think we should reach out to?
Could you give us a list, or we'll divide them up or something?
Well, maybe I'll think about that.
Because that does make sense. The traditional forms of advertising for positions like this, you just get hundreds of applicants, and
Well, I thought your point was that we would individually come up with lists and feed them to Andrea, or Andrea via you, but that's not exactly what you said then.
Well, I don't think she'll take the time to reach out individually to all those people,
Okay.
but if we can gather email addresses of HR at those
yes.
museums or the director at those museums. I mean, we can look at parks too. We can
What
look
what about museum associations? Are there organizations that many times will list in their magazines and their
Remember
brochures?
the Curators magazine?
yeah, that's
There's
a good
the
idea.
Legacy magazine, which you just had. Is that?
Yes, we'll definitely advertise there.
Those would be a good place to get the word out too.
Yeah.
And I wonder, and you would know, how do directors feel about offering up some of their good talent to leave them?
I think
You know what I
everyone
mean?
will they'll take it or leave it. They'll delete it or they'll forward it
Okay.
on. But I was always of the mindset that this is a stepping stone for all of them,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a part-time position and they're here to get experience. So if something full-time opened up, we were always very open about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a full time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So if they've got a part-time
So they have a
job
part-time work, yeah.
somewhere, they want to move up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I can send that out. Send some thoughts about that.
Good.
To all of you.
Blackout tours?
Yeah, so that's our next big thing. It's going to be the last 2 weekends of October. And if you're wanting to volunteer, we do have that schedule out. I'm going to be leading some tours. TJ is going to be leading some, and Austin is going to come back and lead some too, because you really need solid experience
Oh, yeah.
to lead those. There's a lot of dynamics there.
Well, if we volunteered, how would we help?
So if you volunteer, what we have them do is you are the last one in the group, and you're responsible for making sure everyone gets in that room in the dark. So
Because they have a little glow
all get out?
thing around their
Yeah.
body, but that's about it, right? Yeah.
Right, yeah. So you're counting
It's
the
very
glow
dark.
stick necklaces and making sure that everyone is there. It's also turning on and off 100+ tea lights before and after the tours. So it's a little more physically demanding in that sense.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm afraid of the dark, so that was.
Okay.
No, Jackie was, so she we found
Really?
that out the hard way. Yeah, she
Oh,
couldn't work
dear.
those tours.
Oh,
Anyway, so I just wanted to say thank you for all the volunteering that you all have done over the past 5 or 6 weeks. And we do have some open volunteer dates in October, of which I've highlighted. So basically, any day that someone is alone here, or if TJ or I aren't here, it's nice that one of you can be here.
We signed up for all of them.
All
every
Tuesdays?
Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the kitchen.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah. We just make a day, we go to lunch and come
Yeah.
back, and
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
sorry I didn't
we've
look
eaten
at
at all
that.
the little places around here.
And I think as we've been volunteering, the staff constantly thanks us, right? Are you hearing that? They're like, "Thank you for being here. This
Yeah.
is so."
TJ can't say a sentence without thank you at the
I
end.
know it.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
wonderful. It's really been great to be
And you've learned
more actively involved.
and learned a lot more about
Oh,
the mansion and just the
yes,
workings and the
yes.
people that work here.
Yeah,
Oh.
so it's been a
So you
win-win.
need a volunteer for that too.
I'm
gonna have
going to
I
sign
need
up
to
for
look
some
at my
days. I can.
schedule, but afterwards.
Very good.
Okay.
And then just one last thing I didn't put on there is that we are members of the chamber. That's something Emily had signed us up for, and we've not really been doing anything with that. And the year is almost over, of course. So Anthony and I are going to go to an event next week at the South Bend Chocolate Cafe. Once a month in the morning, they have a little meet and greet, and you can share upcoming events. So we're going to do that together. But then on October 23rd, they have this Inspiring Women Luncheon, which it's, during a work day. I can't attend, but I thought you two ladies might want to look it over and see if it's something you feel like you want to represent us at. I think it's $30 a lunch, so you can talk about it, and if that's something the friends would pay for, professional networking or whatever.
Okay.
You can
When
see what
is
you
the
think.
date? And we can talk about it later, Lori.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be here.
talk about it. So that's what I've got.
Okay. Treasurer's report. Do we have a treasurer's report?
Well, this is the
The budget.
as of today.
City budget,
yeah, which
okay.
is fine. Which is fine.
Okay, that's good.
That is the best news.
Yes.
Old business. Tom, have you been to New York since we met last?
No.
Okay, I was wondering, we were going to ask about Dion, whether, is she going to be on? Continue on?
She's going on for more in May.
Okay,
She would go off in May.
okay. Do they have anyone in mind who they want to replace?
No.
No. Okay.
And you're assuming that she is ready to not continue.
Right.
Help.
Okay. Any other old business that we missed? What about new business? Anything new? Okay, hearing none. Next meeting date? October.
So, are we doing the third
Thursday?
Thursday?
Jessica, how's that for you?
Sorry. That's fine.
And that date
17th?
That's the 17th.
is 17.
Is that good for
That's
everybody?
fine.
Is that good for people?
What was? I'm sorry.
So October 17th
17.
Next meeting.
for the next meeting.
10 as usual.
Could you maybe not have it right in front of this blower?
I know. I'm
I'm
freezing.
freezing.
I know.
Sweater. Yeah.
Maybe over there, next to the fireplace or something. Oh, God.
I know.
I don't
It's
usually
chilly.
get cold, but
No, you don't.
I've been sitting like this the whole time. I'm sure the TV will think I'm having a nervous reaction or something. 'Cause I'm trying to stay warm.
I move that we adjourn.
Yeah,
I second that.
okay. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Uh,
Aye.